What are your thoughts these days about renting versus buying? People call in and ask, what's better?
Better, I think, is the funny word there. Is
Yeah.
it better to rent or buy? Well, it depends. If you're broke, it's better to rent. If you've got money and you're in a good financial position, get off the sidelines. Buy a house. Get your foot in the door.
That's it. If you're broke, then rent. And if you're in a good financial position, then buy. I completely disagree, and that's not how you decide if it's better to buy or rent. Let's see the rest of the video and we'll address everything.
Buy a house. Get your foot in the door. It's a moving goalpost. The $400,000 house 5 years from now is likely going to be more. It's going to be $500,000 or $550,000. And so I want people to buy a house as soon as they're financially ready. And it's a simple strategy here. Are you consumer debt free? Do you have an emergency fund? And do you have some good reserves to put down on the house? If you're doing it that way and the mortgage isn't going to be 60% of your take-home pay, like some of these callers have situations, then go ahead, buy a house and do it for the right reasons, do it in the right area, do your research, work with a real estate pro, and do it the right way. But most people are so frustrated with pent-up rage about renting that they're just willing to do anything to get in that house at any cost, and it becomes a burden instead of a blessing. That's what pains me when people call in, they made that mistake.
The biggest point I suggest paying attention to is the fact that the process of making a decision to buy or rent is a completely different process than the process of buying your home the right way. By the way, just a side note, as a real estate agent, I get asked the question, should I buy or continue renting, pretty often. That, in my opinion, is one of the worst questions you can ask to your real estate agent. This question on itself is a whole separate topic, and I'll make a video explaining in details why you should never ask this question to your real estate agent. But in short, for the sake of this video, the answer to the question, which one is better, buy or rent, provided by your real estate agent, most likely has a conflict of interest. Just press that subscribe button to make sure you get notified when I make that video. Now back to this video. The reason I mention it is because the question in the video was, is it better to buy or rent? And in my opinion, the first portion of his answer was the worst answer. The second portion of his answer is different, and I'll address that later. So let's go step by step.
Better, I think, is the funny word there. Is it better to rent or buy? Well, it depends. If you're broke, it's better to rent. If you've got money and you're in a good financial position, get off the sidelines. Buy a house. Get your foot in the door.
Absolutely no. If you have money and you are in a good financial position, that does not mean that you should get off the sidelines and buy a house. In my market, which is New York City and some parts of New Jersey, there are many wealthy and financially qualified people who continue renting. And renting makes more sense for them. Buy versus rent decision has two parts. There are financial factors of the decision, and there are non-financial factors of the decision. Without knowing the individual's financial situation, personal challenges, long-term and short-term goals, giving an answer to a broad audience that if you are in a good financial position, then you should buy, in my opinion, is wrong and does not make any sense. For example, the financial factors of the decision buy versus rent are the cost of ownership versus the cost of renting, the opportunity cost for the down payment and closing costs, equity and investment potential for your specific market, overall market conditions and market trends in your area, also the tax benefits of owning a home. Non-financial factors are flexibility. Renting allows you to have a more flexible move without thinking of selling your home. Maintenance responsibility. As a homeowner, you have to handle the repairs and maintenance, not just financially by spending money, but also spending your time and energy dealing with maintenance and repair problems. As a renter, you don't have to worry about servicing the boiler, repairing your roof, or replacing your appliances. All you need to do is to make a phone call to your landlord or management company. Another factor can be general lifestyle and space. As a renter, you are generally limited to customizing and making alteration to the space. Homeowners have more freedom to make the interiors and the layout the way they want. Depending on the situation, there are more non-financial factors, and we can expand a lot on those. But those pretty much are the factors that you need to take into careful consideration. I made a video talking about the reasons why 2/3 of New York City rent and only 1/3 of New York City own their home. I can tell you that those 2/3 of people are not all broke people who can't afford to buy. A lot of those people can afford to buy, but it's better for them to rent. You can watch this video if you're interested. The link is in the description below. People living in major metropolitan areas like New York, LA, or San Francisco have different lifestyles and different goals compared to people living in suburbs or small towns. The cost of living is different. The inventory of homes available for rent and for sale varies significantly depending on the location.
Buy a house, get your foot in the door. It's a moving goalpost. The $400,000 house 5 years from now is likely going to be more. It's going to be $500,000 or $550,000.
How do you know this? Yes, generally real estate appreciates over the long period of time. The appreciation rate depends a lot on the specific local market and a lot of external economic factors. Just because in the past there were time periods in specific markets when properties appreciated at a higher rate, this doesn't mean that it will continue at the same pace for every 5-year period in every market. This is the median sales price of houses sold in the United States from 1963 until today. Yes, overall home prices are appreciating, but just because we see a big appreciation, let's say in a post-pandemic market, doesn't mean that this chart will continue going up at the same pace. Where do we go from here? Can you safely assume that it's going to be like this? Of course no. Also, the specific local market matters. There are many instances in New York City, depending on the property type, I've seen sales where people sell it at a loss. We have a lot of complicated types of properties here that have a very different appreciation history. Again, every market is different, and you can't generally assume such a high appreciation rate for every market in every 5-year period. Also, property values in some cities are closely tied to the dominant industries in the area. If those industries experience a major economic downturn, your home value could take a hit. The bottom line is predicting the appreciation isn't a simple thing. Plus, keep in mind that this appreciation is an unrealized gain, which means your net worth on the paper goes up, but this money isn't accessible to you until you sell your home or utilize financial tools to tap into your home's equity. A HELOC is one way to access your home's equity. Home equity loan, cash out refinance are a couple other ways of accessing the equity of your home and taking advantage of appreciation. If you know what you're doing, you know the purpose of that money, and you are prepared to pay back the debt, including the interest. So the point is, unless you are leveraging the appreciation by using financial tools to access the equity for a specific purpose, the only time your home's actual value truly matters is when you decide to sell it.
And so I want people to buy a house as soon as they're financially ready. And it's a simple strategy here. Are you consumer debt free? Do you have an emergency fund? And do you have some good reserves to put down on the house? If you're doing it that way, and the mortgage isn't going to be 60% of your take-home pay, like some of these callers have situations, then go ahead, buy a house and do it for the right reasons, do it in the right area, do your research, work with a real estate pro.
I agree with this. The second part of his answer is fine, but that's already assuming that you decided to buy. For most people, just like he said, if you have emergency funds saved, you are consumer debt free, you have good reserves to put down, if you have the right reasons to buy, which means that you already decided that buying is the right choice for you, then you should work with the right people, such as your real estate agent, mortgage broker, real estate attorney, and so on, to make sure that you are going through your buying process the right way. So in conclusion, the process of making a decision whether it's better to buy or rent is a completely different process than the process of buying your home the right way. Be very careful who you're listening to. That's it for today's video. If you got any value, let me know if I should continue reacting to those types of videos. Also, there is a link in the description of this video where you can schedule your one-on-one call with me if you're looking to buy, sell, or rent here in New York City, or if you just have any questions about New York City real estate. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.